5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time to count down reality TV's most talked about moments with Amanda Bella. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bella Talks TV. This is Amanda Bella, and I, of course, cannot wait to be back with you guys for another week. I have so much to even go over with you guys. I have to jump right in. But I was listening to the new Giggly Squad episode that came out yesterday, and so many things. Like, again, I'm going to be probably jumping all over the place. So buckle up for this episode. The first thing, okay, so Hannah's new special, Hannah Berner's Netflix special, which I talked about on my last episode. It's called We Ride at Dawn. It is now available on Netflix. So go on Netflix right now, click play, put it in your queue, add it to the My List. Go support your girl, Hannah. She's been through a lot. She has really given us her blood, sweat, and tears. Like, she was such a good reality TV star because she really had no idea. Like, she kind of was like how West came into the Summer House this season, like just having no idea the level of fame and eyes and just the attention you're going to get. She totally just kind of like fumbled her bag with Bravo. So go support her on Netflix. You know, if you didn't listen to my last episode, go back and listen. I go into a lot about Hannah, the few times I've seen her live, you know, my kind of opinions about it. But I do think she is genuinely funny, like whether or not she steals jokes or gets inspired by Twitter, wherever she may get her information and her material from is irrelevant. You know, it is really just the fact that she's been able to build herself such a platform, and she's really passionate about what she does. So go watch. Getting back to Giggly Squad. So I was listening to the new episode yesterday, and they put it out a little bit early this week because I think Hannah's doing press. She's also on Jimmy Fallon tonight, which again, today is Tuesday, July 9th. So tonight she's on Jimmy Fallon. Go again, support her there. I think she's doing 5 minutes, she said. Paige was talking about how she was like, I need to still do the podcast this week. Like, even though we both have all these things going on, Paige is back in the summer house filming. You know, today is her first day back in the city, pretty much after filming all weekend for the first time with everybody. There was one leaked video that I did see, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Summer House later in the episode. But there was one leaked video already of Lindsay, and they're in the club, and she's rubbing her belly, and it's the whole thing. So you have to go find that video. I think it's on Queens of Bravo. I know it's on a few different pages circulating. Paige, anyways, says on Giggly Squad, she was like, I have to still do the podcast this week. Like, we're so busy, but like, what else would I do? Like, who else am I going to come tell all these thoughts to? If not Hannah, if not Giggly Squad. So I totally get that feeling. Like, I have been bursting at the seams to record and come and talk to you guys, but it, of course, has been a really busy 4th of July holiday, and we have a lot going on, even though we're trying to actually slow down and relax this summer. We're doing our best to just stay in New York and stay local and not travel and just try to enjoy the New York summer. And it's going good so far. July 4th was pretty cool, actually, I have to say. I went to this random Brooklyn beach with some of our friends from Staten Island, and it was quite the scene. Things I saw on this beach, I'm pretty sure were not legal, but all kinds of things going on. And I didn't realize like how many people in New York City have jet skis. Like, I don't know. It must just be because obviously it must be way more expensive and harder to have a boat. So to have a jet ski, at least where you can store it, and then you can take it into like a random marina and launch it for the weekend and go like beach it somewhere. Like, I actually think it's kind of cool, like jet ski culture. But so I got swept up in some jet ski beach in Brooklyn, and it literally looked like a Rough Riders video. Like, there were just like all these toys in the water and people like doing tricks, and I was a little bit fearing for my life, but it was quite the scene, and I had a lot of fun, and I got to ride a jet ski all the way to Coney Island. And first of all, I'm not really like a big ocean girly. Growing up on the Great Lakes, like I was really spoiled to be in Michigan and having all of that beautiful like fresh water. So now when I go in the ocean, like I can't really like handle the salt water and stuff. Like I just wasn't raised on it. So between that and the sharks, like I really can find myself like kind of losing my mind when I'm in the ocean. But we rode this crazy jet ski all the way to Coney Island. It was so amazing, so cool to like be out in the middle of the ocean, just like floating around, like looking at the cyclone, and like all of the, like Maimonides Park is like over there where Dolores has her softball game. Like it was just really cool. So had a great iconic weekend. Like Paige said, I couldn't wait to, like, no matter what's going on, like I have got to get on here, because who else am I going to come talk to about this? Like I don't talk to people in my real life about this. I'm not talking to my husband at dinner typically, unless something really crazy happens. Like I think I might have mentioned a few things to him over the week that maybe he knows like a little bit about, but not talking to him about it. And I have some friends I text, but really my Bella Talks TV, Instagram, and the podcast here is like really my outlet. So thank you for being here. And I think last time I was on the pod, I was talking about how I'm preparing to do some guests. So today is actually, I think, my 18th episode, like 17th, 18th, 19th, something like that. So I'm getting pretty like warmed up here. Like it's taking me a long time to get these episodes out, but obviously with each one, I get a little bit more comfortable and I'm having more fun with it. And I'm just kind of like, it's really just a stream of consciousness. Like if you can't tell, like I sit down, I turn the mic on and I just start talking and see what comes out. So it's not really a big plan here, but I'm having so much fun doing it. It's been really great. I'm starting to work with guests, and I was on the Bravo Outsider podcast. So these are two guys, Craig and Dylan from Canada. And I always love a good guy's perspective. Like I love listening to Ryan Bailey. I love listening to Watch What Crappens, Danny Pellegrino. I just recently discovered a podcast called Dumpster Dive with a host called Tom Hamlet. He is hilarious. Like you guys, there are so many funny guy podcasts out there too, where at least you can get some like different perspectives sometimes. But I really enjoyed talking to those two guys. Go on my page to see any clips, and then also make sure you go follow and listen to their podcast. They're great. We talked about the Real Housewives of Dubai and Real Housewives of New Jersey. So we had a really good conversation. It was fun. And then also Brav Bros. I was never really into them before, Shooter and Steele, the Brav Bros, but I've been listening to them a little bit more lately. And sometimes they do like hit. Like sometimes they will just say an opinion that is exactly what I'm feeling, but not hearing anywhere else. And it really resonates. And it's like, okay, I'm not crazy. Somebody out there feels the same way I do. And that's the whole point of this. So go listen to them. Just a couple of shout outs in the top of the show. And okay, what else has been going on? Okay, yes, we talked about Summer House. So Summer House is filming, and just being in New York, like being, I'm not around the corner from the Hamptons by any means, but I'm close enough where I can like taste it. And I love to go out there a couple times in the summer. Just, hit up some of the wineries are the best. I'm sure you guys have heard of Summer in a Bottle. That's Wolfer Estates, one of my favorite wineries. Went there on my birthday a few years ago. And then the other one, Hamden Water, that's like a big one that everyone sees. That one I actually like prefer and taste. It's delicious. So you have to go check out those wineries if you're ever in Long Island and going out to the Hamptons. But it's so exciting to know that like they're out there filming again. And I'm really having Summer House withdrawals. Like I just did a full rewatch too. So like I can't really just start like going back and rewatching old episodes quite yet again. Like I just finished the rewatch. I really needed to take a break, but like I was craving that Summer Hamptons content. And so I have a couple of shows for you guys, some more recommendations at the top of the show. So I don't know if you've ever heard of these following shows, but I've watched them all a couple times now. And it's like a good fix, and they're short, easy watches. So if you're really craving some reality TV in the Hamptons, and you want something different than Summer House but similar, here are a few shows. So the first one is a show called Serving the Hamptons, and it is the perfect mix between Vanderpump Rules and Summer House. They're in the Hamptons. They're all living together in a share house, but they also work at a restaurant called 75 Main, which I believe is in Southampton. And so they all work together and live together in this share house, and they're hooking up, and there's drama, and it is wild. The first season to me was the best. There's now a second season, and I believe they're filming a third season this summer, 2024. So the show's not going anywhere. It's just getting ramped up. It was originally an Amazon Prime reality show, which I don't think do that well typically, but it is on HBO Max now. I'm not sure if between first and second season it like switched or if it got bought. I do recall it, I thought, being on Amazon Prime originally. It's on HBO Max. 2 seasons. Go watch. There's some interesting characters on there. This girl, Haley, she is just like a caricature of a Long Island girl. So go watch her. She's really entertaining. Do you guys remember, really random throwback, but back when Sheena had her single season and she was trying to make Adam jealous, she had this guy named Ethan come over and that she hooked up with, and I'm pretty sure she made enchiladas, the typical Sheena move. And I remember them like heavily making out in her bed in the scene. Okay, that guy Ethan is on the show. So random, but he is. And there's a couple other like main character energy people. So I really just recommend going and watching. Oh yeah, Lindsay Lohan's cousin, her name's Jill. She's there. And she clearly gets help from her cousin Lindsay. Like, she drives this nice Audi and she talks about how she has a place in the city. And it's like, okay, yeah, cousin Lindsay's def helping you out, Jilly. There's just some funny people on that show. So go watch that. The next show is going to be Selling the Hamptons. So of the same type of franchise, Serving the Hamptons, Selling the Hamptons. They even have some crossover where some of the realtors come into the restaurant that they work at. Kind of it's like they're really pulling some like Vanderpump-esque moves over there. So I have my eye on this franchise of this Selling the Hamptons, Serving the Hamptons. 2 seasons of each. Go watch. Obviously, Selling the Hamptons is more focused on the real estate. It's very like, it's very Selling Sunset-y. It's more about the drama and not so much about the real estate, but it's good. It's good. 2 seasons of that are out. And then the third show I want to tell you about is a show that only has 1 season, sadly, was canceled. But it just, again, gives me that little bit of a summer fix. And it's a little bit more wholesome than Summer House or Serving the Hamptons, because it's not so much like hookup culture. It's a little bit more like just kids working in the Hamptons for the summer. There is a little bit of drama, but there is a show called Forever Summer Hamptons. I believe that's also on Amazon Prime. And in this show, it's just about a bunch of kids that come from different backgrounds that get a chance to work at Dockers, which I've actually got to also go to. I think I went there like Labor Day, maybe last year. Such a cool, it's like right in the bay there. Of course, like I can't remember what city it is. It's got to be in Montauk. But somewhere over there. It's really a cool place. I see how everybody like loves to go there. Oh my God, Dockers. Yes. So this is also the place where when Lindsay and Carl got engaged, they had that engagement party afterwards. It was at Dockers. So that's the place that all these kids work and where this show takes place. See how everything's connected out in the Hamptons? I love it out there. So all these kids work there. Again, interesting characters. When I talk about a little bit of drama, there's like one toxic couple, Emily and Trevor, I want to say is his name. Emily and Trevor. Yeah, it's either Trevor or like something really douchey like Tavon or something. I don't know, Tavon's not douchey, but you know what I mean. It's some kind of name. If it's not Trevor, it's something like similar. If you guys know, I listen to my past episodes, toxic Trevors, they're around and they tend to haunt me. So I feel like this guy's name is Trevor, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, go watch those shows. Again, Serving the Hamptons, Selling the Hamptons, Forever Summer Hamptons. Go get all your Hamptons fix. And okay, yeah, so that's enough of an intro. Sorry, like I said, I had so much to get out to you guys. I've been watching nonstop television. One thing about my husband is that he loves the air conditioning and does not like to be hot. Like, he used to live in Costa Rica for many years for his job. And so when he came back to the United States, like, he just refused to ever be hot again. So usually I'm in my house, like in the freezing cold air conditioning. It just sometimes doesn't even feel like summer. I've been indoors in my blankie, watching TV all summer. So I've been trying to get out more. Okay, so those were just some intro notes for you guys, some shows to watch, some things going on. A couple other things to note that are not going to be on the countdown this week. So we have a new season of Real Housewives of Orange County premiering on Thursday. I am a Tammy Sue girly. I love Tamra. Tamra is, I hesitate to say my favorite housewife of all time because I think Luann has got to just be my favorite, at least currently. It's kind of like, like you're allowed to have more than one best friend, like you're allowed to have more than one favorite housewife, but Tamra, I just love her. I'm so happy she's back on my screen. And it's not like, okay, Shannon, what she did obviously was awful. And if you guys have been seeing her mugshot circulating, it's a mess. So I see why the police didn't want to release it. And they kind of protected her for that. But they do end up showing it on this first episode. And I've seen some previews. I'm trying to wait to watch the full episode. Like, I really want to give it my full attention And I don't usually watch those spoilers that come out that are like the first 7 minutes of each episode. Like, no, I want to wait and watch it. Like, I don't want to know. I want to be like surprised. So we have some things coming up with that, and I'm really excited. Again, I'm going to that Bravo TV official watch party next week on Tuesday, which will be, again, Real Housewives. There'll be an early screening of the second episode. So can't wait for that. It's going to be some housewives there. Maybe I'll meet Tammy. And I really hope Teddy's not there. I just have a feeling Teddy's going to be there. And I don't know why I'm on this like Teddy hate, but I just am. She bugs me. And I listen to 2Ts. I do. And 2Ts in a pod. It's a great pod. What they've done over there is kind of amazing. They've built themselves quite the, like, you know, Tamra, I kind of like love how Tamra doesn't give a fuck. She literally rolls up and records this episode. Like, you can tell she just like hates doing it. And Teddy like can't wait. She has all these like notes and like points to bring up, and Tamara's just like, yeah. They're all really they're funny. But okay, so yeah, that is a new season. Another new season of $1 Million Listing LA comes out, and like I'm a Josh Flagg, like I don't know what we call like flag stands. Well, I just actually came up with something which is probably really inappropriate for me to say, so I'm not going to say it. But if you think of fat, oh my god, no, I almost said it. Flag stand. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Oh my god, I'm a flag stand. Love him so much, and I hope that he's just unhinged this season. I love a gay that just will get married and then like immediately marry somebody else. Like, I just love that. I love a gay. He's got to be a Cancer. He has to be a Cancer. I'm willing to bet. Like, should we do another? I love to do like a live check on the screen. Let's see. Josh Flagg birthday. If he's a Cancer, I'm going to die. August 20th. Okay, he's a Leo, which again makes sense. I wonder if he has any Cancer in his chart because he loves to be married. Okay, so yeah, Josh Flagg, go watch. I used to love $1 Million Listing LA, the original season, when it was Josh Altman, when he would be like fighting with Josh Flagg, and then Madison was there. Where's Madison? Justice for Madison. Bring him back. He was messy as hell. Great show. And Tracy Tudor, I can leave her or take her. Like, beautiful girl. I actually love her like fashion. She's kind of like the Selling Sunset girlies, where sometimes she wears things and like literally her boobs and like full midriff are out, and I'm like, wow. But hey, whatever happens out in LA to sell a house, gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, those are just a couple new shows that are coming out this week, so keep your eyes peeled for those. Oh yeah, also the new Bachelorette, Jen, she premiered last night. I didn't get a chance to watch it because, full disclosure, okay, we have cable through like 2 different services, but like both of them, for some reason, ABC, you have to be connected to like your in-home Wi-Fi, and like we don't have Wi-Fi through the same thing we have the cable through, and I can't watch live Bachelorette. Very annoying. I have Hulu. I watch it the next day. I haven't had a chance to watch it today, but I will be watching and covering Bachelorette. Bachelorette to me is so much better than The Bachelor. Like, I would much rather watch 25 guys going after a girl than 25 girls going after a guy. Not to be like, oh, I'm a guy's girl, but it's something more entertaining about watching the men. And I just really enjoy that franchise, The Bachelorette versus The Bachelor. Go watch. Jen wasn't my pick. I think you guys remember. I was really going hard for Maria to be The Bachelorette. I thought she would have been fabulous. I wanted to see her in Paradise. And then where the hell is Bachelor in Paradise? They just canceled it on us. So quietly canceled it. Still dealing with the loss of Bachelor in Paradise. Those are some things going on that you can watch coming up. We're coming out of this drought. We're in this summer break of all of our shows and filming and things. It's been rough. It's been hard. We're looking for things to cover. A couple new things you guys can go watch. And let's get into my OMG and my LOL of the week. Again, this was like one of the harder actual countdowns to put down, because again, it's just my opinion. Like, not like, oh, the number one most talked about moment of the week is going to get like a check or something. It's like, it's just my opinion, and they're not going to get anything for it. But for some reason, like, ranking these moments this week was a little bit tough because I don't really see anybody talking about anything online. So for me to be like, okay, well, these are the most talked about moments. There's some moments, whether or not they're the most talked about, I'm not sure. So just bear with me on this episode. We're going to cover a lot of different topics. But the first one I want to go into is back in the Netflix cinematic universe. We have got to touch in with America's Sweethearts, which is the Dallas Cowboys cheerleading show. It is 8 episodes, if I recall correctly, and they're all about like an hour long. I was really skeptical of this, and I actually had a hard time starting it. It wasn't until I heard Samantha Bush, Bravo historian, she was going on about it, and I was like, okay, we have usually the same taste in things, my Michigan girl over there. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. And I could tell within the first literally 30 seconds, I was crying and was hooked. And then I proceeded to watch all eight episodes in the same day. So it was a really good binge. I loved it. I was crying. I was on this emotional roller coaster with them. It was truly one of the most emotional shows I've seen in a long time. And like, I've been kind of feeling more like light, fun, flirty, not wanting things like quite so heavy. So this was definitely a heavy watch, but it was so good. I don't want to give you guys too many spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, but I have got to talk about a couple of the girls. One of the girls, her name is Madeline, and her mother, a couple of the girls are legacy, like where their mother was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, but not all of them. There's just a few. So which is kind of nice. Like we don't want to watch just like all Nepo Cowboy cheerleader babies. And a lot of them are rookies that have never, made the team. But I believe they end up taking like 8 rookies in the end. So it shows you that they really do, let the veterans stay on if they want to. A lot of them do end up retiring after a couple of seasons because it's really hard on them. But you're allowed to do 5 seasons. So you can do your 5 seasons and you're forced to retire. They bring a lot of rookies in. It seems like a really good, fair system that they've had going on there for a while, which makes sense since they are the number 1 NFL cheerleading squad by far, like the most iconic. So it's good that they have good systems in place there that seem fair. Scoring, they bring in lots of different judges from the community that do all kinds of different things. So it's not just cheerleading, scoring and judges. It's a really good. And then the main lady, Kelly, that runs the program, is truly a force. She, at first, you can't tell if you like love her or hate her either. Totally insane, or is she a genius? And that's usually how it goes, somewhere in between. But she really is, I have to say, she's a genius. Like, she really has taken that entire program and made it what it is. And obviously these girls don't get paid shit, and they come back every season like thirsty and dying for more. So it must be really, really worth all of the time and effort and what it does to your body, even though you're not really getting paid for it. It's more about being part of the club. And it's very supportive. It's very like women supporting women vibes. I love it. So Kelly previously, she has a couple of girls on the team that are veterans. And one of them is this girl, Madeline. And her, like I said, mother was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader as well. And I believe cheered with Kelly, or like they know each other. And so their families go way back. Madeline's mom and dad met on the field. Her mom was a cheerleader for the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, and her dad was a cameraman. And they fell in love. They did some, events together. They traveled together because there were times when the cheerleaders would go overseas to support the troops, and he would go and like film. So this was like truly a love story. And, without giving too many spoiler alerts away, he does end up passing away. And like just the story of Madeline and like her journey to stay on the team, and the moment that really got me, one little spoiler, is that she does the sign language at the games. So when they're doing the Star Spangled Banner, she'll be up there as the cheerleader, like doing the sign language, bawling, crying. She's just that's such a talent and a gift. Wow. Love Madeline. There's a few girls on the squad that really just end up pulling at your heartstrings. You're really rooting for them. Another girl, Kelsey, she talks about how it's her last year. It's her 5th year. She's a lead, a captain, and they follow her story a lot. And then there's another girl named Reese, who we must protect at all costs. Like, she is the purest of all. She to me is just like a delicate little flower. Like, I wanted just to put her in my palm and put her in my pocket and keep her safe. I fell in love with her. One of her first scenes, all the rookie girls take her to Starbucks, and she's never had caffeine before. Never had Starbucks, never had caffeine. She's 21. She went to what school did she go to? Alabama. So it wasn't a Christian school, but she's very Christian. And she went to Alabama, and, they are known for like their crazy fanatic sports, Roll Tide and all this stuff. So she was a cheerleader at Alabama, and there's these crazy fans, and there's this one guy that she sees while she's cheering, and he's being like, literally he's being this is my OMG moment of the week. Like my jaw was on the floor when I saw her boyfriend. I'm telling you, this girl looks like the sweetest little saint angel. And then she's like, and this is my boyfriend, Will. And then they pan to him and he's being like crowd surfed up the stadium at one of the games. And then there's another one of him like screaming into the camera, like sticking his tongue out. And like, he's just one of these crazed fans. And it's not what you expect for this sweet little baby angel. So it just did not make sense. I loved following their journey. They are engaged too also, which is like, if I was Danny Pellegrino, I would do the like, do. Like they're engaged. They're 20 years old. She says very openly it was her first boyfriend, first guy she's ever, kissed, all these things. Now they live together. Now she's a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader and they graduate from college. And again, not too many spoilers, but I have to talk about Reese's journey. It's just too much for me. So of course she's like, I have to move to Dallas. I'm trying out for this team. A lot of the girls moved there before even making the team. So, which is like a huge leap. And a huge, like basically just shows like how confident you are that you're going to make it. And so Will has to basically like, she's the boss. Like she's a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Will is now nothing. Like he kind of peaked in college. And now it's like, she's like, okay, well, I'm going to be on this team and you need to kind of like move to Dallas. And he does. He's really sweet about it. And he does. But the poor kid can't get a job to save his life. It's Carl vibes. And he's not really sure what he wants to do with his life. And just their journey was crazy. They do end up getting married. I had to go look at her Instagram and be like, does this girl make the team? And like, does she make the team? And then does she not get married to this guy because she realizes like her worth? But no, she's too pure for that. Of course she marries Will and they look happy as heck. But you have to go watch the show. Another girl, Victoria, they follow her journey. Again, another legacy. Her mother was on the squad and back in the day. And then there was also the show Making the Team, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. I'm not sure if that was on like CMT or something. I never watched that. I, again, for some reason, like was not into the idea of watching a show about this. I thought it was going to be really, really bad, but it wasn't. It was awesome. It's really good. So I maybe will go back and watch Making the Team too. But Victoria famously tried out for the team back on the first iteration of Making the Team. She did not make the team. And then it shows her coming back to make the team. And now it's on her third year. She's a veteran. Follows a couple of different people's journeys. And I really recommend going to watch that. Again, my OMG moment of the week is this whole show, because especially the moment when we see Reese's boyfriend and they pan to him. Jaw was on the floor. Like, who is this guy? Who is this character? So now what I was expecting. So many good moments. Really good binge. So my LOL of the week, I have to go back to the Kardashians because they are, again, just keeping me laughing. They're keeping it light. They're giving me what I need right now. And I had to give them another LOL moment. So they go to Aspen in this most recent episode. And there's a couple different things that's going on. One is the fact that Kim is obviously a workaholic. We know that. She's self-proclaimed workaholic. She wants to keep this show going forever. She wants to keep this Kardashian brand and herself working. I mean, she says she has about 10 years left in her where she still looks good. To me, that just means like, okay, I have 10 more years left in me before I probably lose my mind and need to be like locked up. I don't want her to go like Britney style. Like we got to keep Kim intact. Like we can't let her work herself to a place of psychosis. So she wants to keep this show going. And she's seen, okay, well, Kourtney's literally laying in bed having a baby, like on bed rest, like can't do anything, can't come to any events, can't travel. Then there's Khloe. Khloe physically can travel, but mentally cannot. She's agoraphobic. She has public fear. She does not want to leave her home. She wants to only be with her children in her safe little bubble. And Kim has had enough. Kim's like, I need somebody, one of my sisters, to get off their asses and work. Like somebody needs to come shoot this show with me. And basically Kim and Khloe are refusing. Or basically, Kim's like, I need somebody to come film the show with me. Like there's going to be no more Kardashians. It's like, okay, Kourtney's not going to do it anymore. Khloe's not going to do it anymore. Rob, clearly we lost a long time ago. And now I'm just left with like Kylie and Kendall. Kendall is like watching paint dry on TV. Like we don't need more of her. And Kylie does the same thing too. So Kylie has this like I mean, you hate to say like maybe it's not real. I'd say this maybe like exaggerated, like faux anxiety, where she's a lot like Chloe. Like she doesn't necessarily want to leave her house, wants to leave her kids. She really likes to be home and just be in her bubble. So they go on this Aspen trip, and there's literally like one snowflake in the air, and Kylie's like, I'm not getting on the plane. I'm not going to Aspen. And you can tell even Kendall is like, what the fuck? Like we never do anything as a family anymore. And it is interesting to watch how these girls are just like, we are so rich and famous. Like, why are we still doing this shit? Why are we still shooting this show? Like nobody cares. You know, the show's obviously gone downhill. I'm clearly still loving it. I think even the parts that aren't funny are making me laugh. Just the whole thing is camp. So they finally make it to Aspen though. Kylie doesn't go. They go to Aspen, and Chris, Chloe, Kim, and Corey and Kendall. It's basically the five of them. I love how Corey Gamble is just like always there. Even for a trip with the girls, like they should just go with Chris and it should just be like the ladies. But no, of course, Corey has to be there. And again, which just furthers the agenda that I believe like he is working for the government. Like he is assigned to be there. Why is he there? Again, it's like you have so much fame and rich. Like, why do you want to be in Aspen with Chris? Like, don't you want to be with like your boys somewhere, like shooting basketball or something? I don't know. Go hang with the boys, Corey. So, anyways, I have to get all my rants about Corey out, but they're all sitting at dinner together, and this dinner is very interesting. They go over a lot of different topics, this Aspen dinner. First, they start talking about Kim's obsession with Gypsy Rose. It's like, who isn't? I'm beyond obsessed with Gyps right now. That's my girl. I'm just really deep in my like Gypsy lore, and the new episode's coming out every week. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. But if you're not watching that show, you have got to go catch up. There's quite a few episodes now since they followed her throughout prison and her release. So you have to go and catch up on her. But Kim's going on about how she's obsessed with Gypsy and she's going to get the chance to meet her the next week. So next episode, which is going to be coming out in 2 days, she's going to be meeting with Gypsy. I can't wait. So stay tuned to get my reactions to that. And she talks about that a little bit, and everybody's jealous that Kim gets to meet Gypsy, and you know, she's definitely the moment. And then they go on to talk about conspiracy theories. And Chloe calls Rob and she's like, yo, Rob, like what's up with the aliens that happened in the Miami Mall? Now, did you guys see this story? Like I have scoured, I'm not a TikTok girly in case you guys haven't noticed yet. Like I try my best, but every once in a while I just use it as like a search engine when I'm trying to find things. I actually prefer Reddit most of the time, but sometimes I'll use TikTok if I'm trying to just get some dirt on something that I don't maybe understand what's going on about. And I decided to go down a TikTok rabbit hole of all these Miami alien videos from the mall that day. And I mean, I have to say, like, you never know, any type of video can be altered. So who knows if anything I saw was true or not. But the videos that are out there are very interesting. It definitely looks like what has been described to be, it was basically, a fight, which I've heard this about too. Like my husband actually loves to watch that show, Ancient Aliens, on the History Channel. So they have like ancient astronaut theorists. If you guys watch that show, you know what I'm talking about. We really want to get shirts that say ancient astronaut theorists. Because those big ancient astronaut theorists say that these are like possible things that go on with aliens. So anyways, ancient astronaut theorists say that there's lots of different types of aliens, and that just like within humans, there's different races and species. Within the aliens, there's also different races and species, and there can be green ones, gray ones, tall ones, short ones, like all different types of aliens. And in this particular case in the Miami Mall, they're saying that 2 different species of aliens were at war and were fighting with each other. And there were like laser beams and scientific space war going on at this mall. And there are some pictures that I have to say, like, do look like some kind of like weird portal. That could definitely be like spirits of a different dimension, species of a different dimension, like fighting, because it looks like a bunch of men like in a mosh pit, but instead they're aliens. Very interesting footage. And then there's also another one where they show all of the traffic, how there were like thousands of cops that rushed to the scene of this, which they were like, oh yeah, there were like kids fighting with sticks. There were like 600 cop cars. So no, we know that whole thing is not true. Like it probably was an alien space war, but Chloe decides to call Rob and be like, yo, did you like see that this is going on in Miami? And Rob is like, well, Chloe, like there's lots of different species of aliens and, there's several different. And he goes, there's like at least 6. And then Corey just pipes up from the end of the table. Like no one's even really talking to him. He's kind of just like there. And he just goes, thousands of species. And Chloe like looks at him and is like, okay, Corey, like Corey's chiming in about the alien speak. And Rob, they're talking about it kind of like playfully and stuff. But you can tell Corey like knows something. Like, what does Corey know? Like he kind of just starts making all these little like comments about it. I'm going to post a video of the scene to my Instagram so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Like I can't really replicate it. It's just a lot. And I just know Corey knows things. Corey works for the government. Corey is a plant. And that's the only way that I can explain like his involvement in why I'm talking about him and why he is on the tip of my tongue every day and why I'm obsessed with him is because he's been force fed to us and he's there for a reason. He's part of this Kardashian machine. So really interesting LOL moments. The whole conversation with Corey and Chloe, GYPSY, the whole Aspen trip is very strange. The Kardashians are just giving us like all kinds of, like I said, for lack of a better word, it's just camp right now. It's just oddities and randomness. Go watch the Kardashians on Hulu. I imagine we're actually getting close to the end of the season already, which is kind of hilarious. Like literally nothing has happened. So I fear for the penultimate, like, this season, and then they do the flashback and then the season's over because I don't want them to ever disappear. They could just give us this show that they're giving us right now weekly. It would be so easy for them to shoot. Just shoot them going on things that they're already doing and shows that they're doing, because that to me is enough of a reality show to keep me engaged and interested in what they're doing. Kardashians, America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders, 2 shows for you to go watch, Hulu, Netflix. We've got a lot of different stuff going on this week, not just Bravo, because we know that Bravo's in a drought. So I've been really reaching out to get content, watching new shows so I can come here and talk to you guys about stuff, because I got so wrapped up there. We were really riding high on like that Bravo wave. So it's kind of nice to have like a little break from them. Okay, so yes, OMG, LOL of the week out of the way, and we will jump right into my top 5 countdown of the weeks. Again, bear with me on this countdown. It was a little bit of a mishmash this week, but I think we have some good things that have been going on that we need to talk about. So coming in at number 5 this week, I wanted to split number 5 into Real Housewives of Dubai and Real Housewives of New Jersey, because we didn't have a new episode of New Jersey this week. So we can talk a little bit about last week. And then also Real Houses of Dubai. Like I know a lot of people aren't watching it and talking about it, but I'm seeing some, I guess, online. And so we have to talk about both, at least a little bit. Okay, so let's start with Dubai first. My number 5 most talked about moment for Dubai specifically is Sarah. So Sarah Al-Madani, if you guys haven't really like done any research into Sarah, like she, to me, I feel like I'm so fascinated with her, because one thing you guys might not know about me is I went to college for psychology and I also double majored in religion. So I have a very specific degree in basically like the psychology of religion. And so I find a lot of these different, one thing that I love about the Real Housewives is that it really does show you like lots of different cultures and lots of different ecosystems that are going on in our society. And I think one thing I really love seeing is just different interactions, different friend groups, different social groups, different, seeing the differences between, say, a Real Houses of Beverly Hills versus the Real Housewives of New Jersey, like very different things, right? So I love studying people and behavior and all kinds of things. A big reason why I have to get on and talk about and discuss a lot of these people's psyches and what's going on and just vent about a lot of this stuff, because I have a lot of opinions about what I think is going on with them. And a lot of times I don't even say them on here because it still is like too dark, but just to keep it like fun and light, I just really like studying Sarah. Like Sarah as a person is driving me insane. And she comes off like such a like new age, like self-aware person, but she's totally coming off just really fake and like, that, that song Sweet But Psycho. I'm like, this girl's crazy. They're following her dating journey. Now, Sarah's been married twice before, and her first husband, it sounds like, was an absolute nightmare. She at least got her son out of it, which is always a blessing in a marriage. Like if you have a child, at least you brought some life into the world, and at least you have your little offspring to be part of your family. But with Sarah, then she talks about how she got married the second time, and the man apparently gave no attention to her son and ignored him and made no attempt to connect with him. And so now in this dating journey for her on way of to find her third husband, she's really focused on getting her son Matuk, which is a star. Matuk needs his own spinoff show. Like I would watch 8 episodes easily of Matuk doing things. So I understand like why she's kind of having him like shoot a lot of scenes with her. Like he's on screen magic, but her bringing him on these dates and him kind of like helping her in this dating process, like it's obviously just for the cameras. Like I don't think anybody in their right mind would actually date this way and like take their kid with them on dates and like let them ask crazy questions and stuff. It's kind of bananas, but it's working for TV and it's working for as far as like giving us, you know, hilarious scenes to talk about. But it's very clear to me that like she's not really seriously dating this way. These guys are probably just guys that are like hired maybe for production, but they basically just, so these guys are maybe like hired through production anyway to like go on dates. I don't know. No, it seems like maybe she really does know them. I'm not really sure. That first guy that she went out with, that was Talene's friend, that was definitely just set up from production, like to see her go on a date. But this new guy that she brings in, that's way younger than her and is a personal trainer and lives in a different country, like clearly it's not going to work out. And then she decides to go, and then Chanel drops this bomb on us. Chanel Ayan is just like, oh, don't you guys know that like Sarah's ex-boyfriend is the guy from the Netflix show 365, which is, okay, I didn't watch this show because I wasn't really like a 50 Shades of Grey, like Magic Mike girl. Like I'm just not someone who typically watches these like hot and heavy like sexual fantasy shows. But that's basically what he does as an actor and kind of like what he's known for. And so that being Sarah's boyfriend / ex-boyfriend, I mean, this is the thing. They were both married. So apparently when Sarah started dating, this guy's name is Michelle. I don't want to say Moreau. Michelle something European. So when she starts dating Michelle, like he's married, she's married to her second husband, and they have this torrid affair. Michelle actually got Sarah's name tattooed on his arm. Like it is actually kind of crazy. Oh, and all roads lead back to Bravo, because if you guys remember, Khloe Kardashian had a huge crush on Michelle, and Kim or somebody like met him in Paris and like had him meet Khloe. So Khloe basically wanted to be with Sarah's man, which is crazy. But Sarah and Michelle, like, I don't know if still to this day they are still together and this is like all a front, or if they're both like, you know, obviously Sarah's divorced now. I don't know. They have a whole like messy love situation. So I did a little bit of deep diving into that. Very interesting. Go look up some history on that if you're into that 365 show. So anyways, I just felt like Sarah is just an enigma. I'm going to continue watching Dubai pretty much not just for her. Like you guys know I'm a Stanberry. Love my Stanberry and Sergio. So there's a couple of things going on Dubai that I think are worth watching. So if you're not, I would say Sarah and her dating journey. That's just been on my mind, and Chanel dropping that Michelle bomb, that was the number 5 most talked about moment of the week. Shared with, again, let's just like touch over on Jersey a little bit, because when I was on the Bravo Outsider podcast, we talked a lot about the New Jersey fight between Danielle and Jen. So if you really want to hear like me go in and talk about that a little bit more, go check out that episode on the Bravo Outsider podcast so that you can hear. I really talked a lot about it at length over there. But pretty much I'm just team Danielle. I mean, of course, how could you not be? If you're team Jen, I mean, I guess there are some people online that are saying that like Jen truly was just defending herself from Danielle getting in her space. Like, do I condone Danielle getting up in Jen's face like that? Like, no, I think that that's like messy, like, ratchet behavior, for lack of a better word. So I didn't like Danielle doing that either. I do feel like she was kind of provoking Jen, but like provoking or not, unfortunately, the law is the law. And when you make contact first, you're liable. So I think Jen, even though she hasn't admitted she's been fired or Bravo hasn't said she's been let go yet, we believe that her contract will not be renewed this season. And I've really turned a corner with Teresa. Like, we need cameras on her at all times. Like, I used to not like desperately want her gone, but I did want what I would call like accountability / justice. Like, I feel like Teresa played a really dirty game and Louis did not follow the rules. Like, he went way out of bounds and really crossed the line contacting Margaret's son, like all of these things that he did, he really was not doing himself or the show or Bravo any favors by the way that he came in last season. So I was like, you know what, fire them. Like, get rid of Teresa and Louis. Like, they don't deserve to be on the show anymore. And I kind of was feeling like that way for a while. But now I've turned a corner. And I think we need cameras on Teresa and Louis at all times because something is a brewing. Something's going on there that I can tell is about to explode. And if we decide now, if you know, we all have our Karen hats on now and we're all with our pitchforks telling Bravo to fire Teresa, there's a good chance that we're not going to see what the day that this bomb detonates with Louis and all of this shit hits the fan. I mean, we could be looking at, knock on wood, and not that I would ever want this, but let's just put our like little tinfoil caps on let's take our Karen hats off and let's put our tinfoil caps on. If all of these accusations with Louis are true, where, you know, this Venivia lawsuit, all of these things going on that's supposed to come out, you know, about him pissing away Teresa's money, not my words, but the words used in the trailer. Like, I have to know what's going on there. I mean, Louis just gets creepier by the day. Did you guys see over the weekend that Teresa released on her podcast saying that Louis takes all of the girls out on like private dates, like all of Teresa's daughters on like private dates? That is fucking isolation and grooming if I have ever heard it. Teresa is the perfect pawn for Louis. And that's why I think, like, again, cameras at all times. That's my new theory. My new theory is that we are about to see like maybe the beginning of the end, and more now than ever, we need her to be a housewife. So let Louis just keep doing things. Let him just keep burying, you know, himself. I don't want Teresa to have any ill will. But in the case that Louis is doing fraudulent and illegal things and Teresa is signing documents again, like, the judge will not go lightly on her because she did not learn her lesson the first time. So if she's doing the same thing that she did with Joe, where she's turning a blind eye and just like, you know, not paying attention to the finances and the things and the money and the allocations and where things are going, and she's being taken advantage of, like, she will eventually have to learn a lesson. And I think that is what needs to happen. Like, we need to see like the breaking point where she's like, okay, like, I truly am done like living my life this way, and I'm ready to grow and learn and be a better example for my daughters. So that is my now new opinion and new theory about Jersey. Like, we need Teresa. So number 4 most talked about moment of the week is, let's move over back to Netflix. So Owning Manhattan. Owning Manhattan is a new real estate show, you know, much like the Selling Sunset franchise. It is now we've got Selling Sunset, we have Selling Sunset Regular, which is Hollywood, and then we have Selling Sunset OC, which I'm also obsessed with. And then we have the Buying Beverly Hills, which is Mauricio's franchise, 2 seasons of that, which I loved. Second season was so good. And then now we have Owning Manhattan. So these are all Netflix reality shows about real estate. And I'm like, I talked about this again like last episode. I'm loving the Netflix reality like franchise. I'm going to get more into those shows. The Trust. I want to watch The Mole. I want to watch The Circle. I want to like get into some of that lore as well in that cinematic universe, because I feel like there's a lot of like untapped potential. And one thing I'm loving about Netflix is like they're doing a really good job at introducing to us like brand new characters, stars that were born for reality TV that like just haven't been given their chance yet. Because with Owning Manhattan, there are so many people I couldn't take my eyes off of. Let's just run through a few of them. So if you haven't watched yet, I'm going to try not to give any spoilers, but I really highly recommend this show. I love real estate shows. I actually had my real estate license for a little while. I was totally one of those girls that like went and got certified when Selling Sunset started. I was like, oh, I can totally do this. Spoiler alert, you can't. I was like in Queens trying to sell condos, and it was just not going well. I digress. I was not made to sell real estate, but I'm definitely made to watch TV shows about it. And I loved the Owning Manhattan show. I watched, again, the whole season in one day. Just totally binged the whole thing. Let's start with Jonathan. Jonathan is a model from Denmark that has basically branded himself as the next generation of real estate agents. And he wants to be basically like a Gen X real estate agent who he has like facial tattoos and he rides like a little, like, not even like a regular motorcycle, like, you know, like a Harley Davidson, as like a hog. He doesn't drive one of those. He drives like literally like an eco electric like Vespa. He's like total Gen Zer. And Ryan named him, you know, as an up and coming agent. And like, he kind of has like a big ego. He gets into a lot of drama and stirs a lot of stuff up in the show. I went from like loving him to hating him. He was clearly the villain, but gotta have the villains, gotta have those people too. And then somebody who I did the opposite with, who I hated at first and totally loved at the end, was Niall. Niall at first, I was like, who is this guy? He comes off, and still, you know, we live now in 2024. We're like, what is gender? What race? Like, what are these things? Like, we don't know. So I don't really know like Niall's full background of where he's from, who he is. Is he straight? Is he married? Is he American? Is he like, does he have an accent? Like, I can't really tell like what's going on with him. He's very like mysterious to me. I went from, like I said, really like hating him and thinking he was kind of like a douche to really enjoying him and seeing that he like champions a lot of the other people in the office and like is a natural born leader. So love him, love Niall. And then we have Jade and Chloe. Jade and Chloe were an unlikely duo for me. Opposites attract. And it reminds me sometimes of like me and my friends. Like sometimes I have friends that I'm like, how are we friends? Like we have nothing in common and we have totally different views on the world. You know, over times, I've weeded out some of those friends because you're right. Like eventually you do get to a point where you're just like, I'm not sure what's keeping us together. Jade and Chloe, they are definitely people who realized like we're better together because neither of them were going to be like queen bee. So they kind of teamed up and became more of like a team together, which I really enjoyed. So Jade is this like artsy NYC like beat Nikki girl that sells commercial, which is very like juxtapositioned. And she's trying to bring like sexy into real estate in New York, which New York is totally different market than LA. Way more suits, white guys, old guys, buttoned up, like proper. So I can see her trying to like break the mold in New York. And I just really enjoy cameras following her. And one thing that I can't really like ever wrap my head around are girls that wear the shoes that are, I'm talking like literally 8-inch heels. Jade wears these shoes that are truly, for lack of a better description, like stripper platform heels. And I'm just like, how the fuck do you walk around New York like this? I don't understand. Like everybody's wearing sneakers. Jade is again a force. And then we have Chloe. Chloe again wasn't going to be strong enough to be the queen bee. I really hated her at first. She's such Virgo energy. But then she ended up, again, I kind of like came around on her because she also was like women supporting women in the end. Like that's what we do truly want to see. We want to see some fights, but we don't want to see like mean girl energy. Chloe did really good at just like winning me over. She is a previous Broadway star of Mamma Mia who turned real estate after retiring. So watching her and her journey is cool. Go watch Owning Manhattan. I won't really give any other spoiler away, you know, about stuff. There's one really cool moment where they end up renting this like sick place to Bad Bunny. I love seeing like a little bit of a celeb moment. Yeah, the whole show is really good. So go watch. Hoping there will be a second season. I'm sure there will be. And then that will bring me down to my number 3 most talked about moment of the week. So we are going to go over to Lifetime to talk about Gypsy Rose. So again, I talked about how there's a few different shows. Now, the original show is the Hulu scripted series where Joey King plays Gypsy Rose. That's about 8 episodes. That goes through a scripted version of what, you know, happened with Gypsy and her mother and the whole thing. Then there was the reality show that came out after that. And that was on Lifetime also, which followed Gypsy's. It was like a documentary about the history of her, but then it was also cameras following her through her release and then getting out. And then now there's a whole new series. So that I can't remember if that was just called like Gypsy something on Lifetime. I can't remember. So it was like the scripted series, the original reality documentary, which was, I feel like 6 to 8 episodes. And then now we have a new series, which is Gypsy Rose, Life After Lockup, only following her from her release. So there's a lot to catch up with GYPSY. There's a lot of stuff to go see with her. And if you are interested in this story and you find her to be fascinating like me, then like me and Kim Kardashian both find her to be fascinating, then go watch these shows because there's just a lot to unpack here. So we all know GYPSY was involved in the murder of her mother. She personally did not do the dirty work, but she had her boyfriend at the time who was mentally ill kill her while she was in the house with her, and then they flee the state and end up going to prison. He's still in prison. She's not been released, and she's on this new journey to, you know, start her new life. And in this most recent episode, there's a couple things going on. So now GYPSY got married to this guy Ryan, and you guys have all seen the Diaz fire. You know, we all know the Ryan lore. We all know that, you know, GYPSY seemed to really love him. They were married when she was still in prison. When she got released, she was released to him and immediately started living with him. They got a dog named Pixie, a little Shih Tzu, which Candy's not here right now, which is making me so sad. She's at the groomer right now, so I have to go pick her up after this. Otherwise, I would give you guys a little Candy shout out, but so they get a little Shih Tzu named Pixie. And I'm already like, okay, GYPSY has a Shih Tzu. Like, we are Shih Tzu sisters. We are soul sisters. So I am loving that, you know, she's on this new path she's on this wifey path. She's trying to be a housewife with this dog and all this stuff. She's been really connecting with her half sister, Mia. Mia lives there in Louisiana with them. And, you know, GYPSY's really never even had a sister. So she's really, really connecting with Mia and having somebody to talk to. Now, GYPSY doesn't realize like the weight of the weight she is bearing, like, or she doesn't really understand like the weight of her words, especially the things that she's saying on national TV. Like, she doesn't have that concept yet. And maybe it's a little bit of like, you know, what's the opposite of like elder abuse? It's like millennial abuse. It's like, because she was in prison and she doesn't really have like that awareness of how the world works yet and how social media can be so brutal and all of this feedback. Like, she's doing things on camera that like she really shouldn't be, and they're still filming it and like showing it. So one example is that GYPSY decides to tell Mia that her and Ryan have been having unprotected sex, and Mia educates her on the morning after pill, and GYPSY decides to take it because she doesn't want to have Ryan's baby. She's actually starting to like, you know, have second thoughts about maybe even being married to Ryan. So there's all these red flags, and she's like, I better just take this morning after pill. And so she takes it on camera, and then she calls Ryan on camera to tell him. And like, it's just maybe should have been a private moment, but of course I was living for it. I think I made like 5 reels about it. Like I just couldn't believe it because I'm like, wow, GYPSY, like you just did such an important thing, because so many women go through that. So many women take this pill and feel so much shame and like have to do it in the privacy of their home and never tell anybody. But she did it really just like so out and open and so unabashedly and just being like, yep, this is what we do. And she was like making jokes. She's like, $40 for one pill. And then she's like, oh, and then she's like, dinner. Like, takes it. The whole scene is really odd. So you guys have to go watch that. But now we're on to this new episode that just aired last night. And she, again, is having these cracks in the foundation of her and Ryan. And she's starting to get really tempted by Ken, who is her ex-fiance that she was also engaged to while she was in prison. So she's got a lot of these like prison bays that she needs to figure out. And I'm living for her figuring out on TV. She's also getting her nose done next week. She just got her new teeth and she's got her hair done. GYPSY's out in these streets and she's trying to live her best life. So please go watch her on Lifetime and support her and only give her positive feedback, because the girl's been through a lot. Love Gyps. Okay, so number 2 most talked about moment of the week, you guys are going to have to bear with me again a little bit on this, because I want to talk about Love Island USA, but I'm getting like a little bit behind in what's going on because there's been so much of it. And I have never watched the Love Island UK. I've never seen that version. I've never seen Love Island USA until I started watching this season because Ariana was hosting, and I was like, you know what? This is a great, the great Bravo drought of 2024. Like, why don't I give Love Island a chance? So I have been watching and, getting along with watching it and keeping up with it for the most part. But I'm definitely starting to like pitter patter out here a little bit because I'm not like super in love with any of the people besides watching Leah and Rob, which everybody's talking about Leah and Rob and like the mess of Leah. I have to say, like, yes, I am team Leah, like, again, sweet but psycho, like, kind of feel like she's Delulu, but that's what we kind of love to see. And it's nice to see like younger girls on TV again sometimes, because as you get older, like, you start to become more manipulative about your image that you're going to present the version of yourself that you're going to present on TV. But when you get these younger girls coming on TV that are not as experienced, especially in a situation like Love Island, which is basically like live television, it's kind of like reality TV gold. Her and Rob are amazing. And I'm sure that they're going to be like reused in other shows, maybe Traitors or some kind of thing like that I can see happening. So everyone's talking about Rob and Leah. Rob is like a love-hate situation. I love him. Some people hate him. Kaylor and Aaron, we've had that whole thing go on because when Aaron went to Casa Amor and Daniela and the whole situation. So I didn't really Kaylor was like Disney princess to me or something. Like I couldn't really connect with her. I really like Serena. She obviously, the whole situation with Cordell and they're doing their best to figure things out, but I just don't know if she really connects with anybody in the house. It's just been an interesting season. So again, it's a lot to watch. I haven't watched the most recent episode, but Love Island is still going strong. People are really loving it. I'm glad it's doing so well. Ariana's still killing it. So one designer that she wears a lot of, she likes to wear a lot of Laquan Smith, which is also a Queens designer here in New York. So I kind of love that she's always supporting him and supporting his line. That neon green sheer one that she wore that was kind of like the reunion dress that she wore, which was also Laquan in navy. It's like the same dress in a different color. She wore that this week. I'd live again for the looks. Number 2 most talked about was Love Island. And I've been dying just to get to my number 1 most talked about moment of the week. So we have got to talk about Lindsay being pregnant, you guys. We have got to talk about Lindsay being pregnant. So I've been bursting at the seams to get on here. I was like everyone else sitting scrolling my phone on the 4th of July around 5 p.m. Eastern time. I open my phone and there it is. There's the pregnancy with clear blue announcement that Lindsay is expecting. Now, I have known Lindsay was expecting for a few weeks, and it really skewed how I watched the reunion. It really skewed how I felt about her, and just there has to be, my number 1 question right now is, so Lindsay released a post yesterday that basically gives it the full timeline. She does kind of like a carousel of pictures since she's gotten pregnant and goes through like, okay, this is when I found out. So she found out on or around 4/6, which was my wedding day. So I was getting married when Lindsay was taking a pregnancy test. Lindsay found out she was pregnant on my wedding, which is insane. She was also at a wedding that day. So she was at someone else's wedding, I believe out of the country, when she found out she was pregnant. She wasn't even with baby daddy, and who has been revealed, by the way. Like, if you guys really want to learn about Lindsay's baby, like, go on Reddit. You will find out about the baby daddy. You'll find out everything you need to know. So to me, that wasn't that interesting. He, to me, isn't that interesting, which is why he doesn't want to be on TV, which is fine. So I'm glad that she found somebody normal and that isn't in the public eye, because I think that will actually be her best chance at really having a lasting relationship. So I hope that, it works out for her. But anyway, she found out she was pregnant on or around 4/6. And then they filmed the reunion on May 3rd. Shows that she was definitely going into that reunion with a different perspective. Even Carl himself was like, wow, I can't believe how easy you went at me today, Lindsay. Like, you were really chill and you didn't come for me. And it's like, obviously she was pregnant. She really didn't care anymore. I mean, I knew, even if I hadn't already been told to me, I already knew she was pregnant. You could just tell that something switched in her and that she had she had a totally different glow. And people were like, oh, well, she wore this dress with her midriff showing. You guys don't realize how skinny Lindsay was. Go back and watch the after show. Truly the thinnest I've ever seen her. And I'm not trying to talk about her body in a negative way. It's just facts. She had lost so much weight. So to see her like that at the after show, and then to see her from the after show into the reunion, I actually thought that she looked like she had gained weight. So in my opinion, I was like, wow, she already looked pregnant to me. And then through all these other events in this carousel that she posted, all these pictures of her being pregnant, the Kleinfelds event clearly was pregnant to me. I could tell there was a bump. Then the one in the Hamptons where she did that magazine cover where she was wearing that white smocked dress, clearly was pregnant there. I could tell. There were some sleuths that went online from when she went to the wedding with with the one where her boyfriend went with her, where she was having the mocktails where they zoomed in and there was the strawberries and they lit up the restaurant and the only drink was strawberries and it was the mocktails. So we have known for weeks, but just to see it confirmed and to know that she is indeed still filming this season out in the summer house, that was another thing I was skeptical about. I'm like, okay, Lindsay has now announced. And I think that the reason why she probably waited, like, okay, they got rid of Danielle. So we know her number one ally, the true ride or die that would like, even when Lindsay and Carl, like, even when they were against Danielle still had their backs. Like she was that loyal. So Lindsay, at the end of the day, even though they weren't maybe in the best place together, she knew she was still always going to have Danielle like on her side. Then she, has Gabby, which I'm not sure. Like, okay, Gabby has been confirmed to return, but like I haven't seen a single post about her. Like, I think it's interesting. Bravo did bring her back. Maybe, I'm not sure. Like, I would like to know when Bravo found out that Lindsay was pregnant. Like, had her summer house contract already been renewed? Because I'm curious if they would not have renewed it, if they would have let her and Danielle go, especially because Lindsay's boyfriend isn't going to film. So we know that that is a big part of Bravo contention. Like, people who aren't able or are willing but unable to show their whole lives don't go over well, because everyone else shows 100% and it becomes like cast members fighting because they're like, why do I have to do everything? And Lindsay only shows half her life. So it's going to get messy if she doesn't find a way to like incorporate some other things. Or they thought, or I'm thinking like maybe they were going to bring her back because obviously we wanted to see her and Carl film awkwardly together again this summer and see what was going to happen. But they didn't know that she was pregnant. So they hired her back and then she got pregnant afterwards, which obviously is the same thing as Traders. Like Lindsay went into Traders being pregnant, being like, okay, I'm just not going to tell them because this is a really good opportunity and I want to do this show and I need this paycheck. I'm going to do it anyway. And so maybe with Summer House, they didn't know yet. They renewed her contract and then she was pregnant afterwards and then they can't fire her now. Hello, that's discrimination. Lindsay's in that house pregnant. I saw her in that club rubbing that belly the other day in that TikTok. So it's happening. Again, as a 37-year-old, well, I'll be 37 in 10 days, childless woman, I have a hard time. I feel like Lindsay needs to be on like a Valley type show, Housewives. It would even take her on Housewives, like not Summer House. I don't care. I know she's iconic. I'm not saying she shouldn't be on Bravo. She should not be in the Summer House. That's just my opinion. So yeah, I will leave you guys on that. Lindsay is pregnant. Number one most talked about moment of the week. We're all going to wait and see how this season goes. And I'm just interested to see, like, again, it would be stupid now to stop following her because there could potentially be a lot of things that go down. Again, I hate to say worst case scenarios, but that is like how it goes. I think it was Bravo Breaking News that tweeted over the weekend, like, we're such pieces of shit because when Shannon gets a DUI, we're like Real Housewives of OC is back, baby. We're so like, wow, we're back in the drama. And that's kind of how I feel about Lindsay. Inevitably, there will be drama that ensues. So we should kind of like Teresa, just like keep cameras on her. Even if they're not my favorite people, I think that there are things that are going to unfold that inevitable we'll want to see. So that was my episode for you guys this week. Thank you so much for joining me back here. I was bringing up the fact that this is like almost my 20th episode because I'm always thinking about where I want to take this. And now that I did that Bravo Outsider podcast, I learned a little bit more about collaborating with others. I'm definitely still looking to do that. Summertime is really hard. A lot of people are not recording or like on their summer breaks right now, or like taking like a season hiatus and then restarting again in the fall. So it's just like a really hard time to collab, but stay tuned for other podcasts that I'm going to be working with and getting people on my podcast as well. And if you are somebody who's interested in coming on and talking about Bravo stuff with me, like, hey, you got a mic and you got a camera, let's talk, sister, DM me. So again, stay tuned for next week's episode. I will be back talking about how I'm going to, on Thursday, I'm going to a Loverboy event. Kyle is DJing. I'm going to see Kyle DJ on Thursday. So I already have my ticket. I will be back talking about it. You're going to want to come back and hear my next episode if you're interested in all of that. And yeah, boots on the ground. So you guys all have a great week. I love you all. Ciao, Bella.